So we create a Google Drive to store all of the zip file, all of the file that related to the project in a Google Drive, and we all have access to the drive. So anybody can upload, edit, create new file in this Google Drive folder, and everybody can have access to it. We also have a so here you can see one of the zip folder that Dylan is showing. We also have a Slack channel that we create so that we can communicate effectively among ourselves. So this is our Slack channel. So now I'm gonna.
Awesome, thanks, Kim. So as Dylan pulls this up, just confirming that all data has been uploaded to the team server. Both tables for both communication and movement have been created with the uploads completed following the instructions with some of the data wrangling and cleaning as recommended. I'm going to hand it over to Ray, who's going to talk more in detail about what the data contains.
The movement data provides movement tracking information, including timestamp, person ID, type of activity, and X and Y coordinate. It allows us to find many useful patterns, such as a visitor's group type and size, where the type of group likes to go in the park, and other observations we may make. The communication data set provides timestamp, sender ID, recipient ID, and location, the area where communication occurred. This includes communication between the paying park visitors and communications between the visitors and the park services. In addition, the data also contains records indicating if and when the user sent a text to an external area. This data allowed us to discover and identify IDs that stand out for their large volume of communication in order to find patterns to hypothesis of the crime. I'll pass to PK.
Thank you, Ray. This scenario takes place in the Dino Fun World, which is a typical modest amusement park. The amusement park decided to give a weekend tribute to Scott Jones, who is an internationally renowned soccer player from a town nearby the amusement park. This weekend was called as the Scott Jones Weekend. During this weekend, Scott Jones was going to come to Dino Fun World and talk about his life and career. The park had also planned to show the memorabilia of his career in the park's pavilion, but unfortunately, during this tribute, the pavilion was vandalized, and also Scott Jones' Olympic medal, along with possibly some irreplaceable items, were stolen. The situation was, however, solved by the park officials and law enforcement, but they want to prepare themselves better so incidents like this don't happen. I'm going to pass it to Matt for further information.
And as Ray mentioned earlier, the challenges will involve using the movement data and the communication data, which is collected from the park app in order to compare the visitor's location relative to the map of the park. The data can then be used to determine patterns and trends among the park visitors and find unusual patterns. So the mini challenge one, will use the movement tracking data in order to answer questions about the various types of groups you notice and their movements in the park, as well as to point out notable differences and anomalies. And then mini challenge 2 will use the park communication data to answer questions about trends in visitor communication throughout the weekend. And along with this, we'll pay attention to communication patterns that relate to the crime. And finally, the grand challenge will use both communication and movement data to answer further questions, including Scott Jones's activities and whereabouts throughout the 3-day weekend. And finally, with when did the crime occur, where did the crime take place, and who are the most likely suspects in the crime. So now I'll pass it on to Dylan.
Thanks, Matt. So what I'm pulling out is a Gantt chart that we made to kind of discuss what the timeline of our project will be. So as you can kind of see, we've assigned, we might have different roles that we are assigned to, the status, and the percent completed. We have a start and end date. This map shows the timeline. And if we scroll down, we can kind of see the different milestones and the different challenges and benchmarks we need to reach in order to accomplish this. So we thank you for your time, Dr. C. Presentation.